Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited because this I think was one of my favourite videos to make last year and I'm making it again. It's my 2026 TBR. I have decided to be a bit less ambitious with my must-read books this year because last year I did 25 books in 2025 and I didn't finish all of them. I did, I think, 23 on the list, which is really strong going, but I am a mood reader, so it was really hard to stick to it. And even though a lot of those books were books I really wanted to read and went towards naturally, yeah, I don't know, I just am a mood reader, and if I'm not in the mood to read it, I don't ever want to be in the position where I have to read something. But equally, there are a lot of books that I really want to read, so saying a yearly TBR does kind of work for me. And this year, my TBR is really good. I have decided to only do 12 books because then I thought it's like one compulsory book a month. I think because I'm so excited to read so many of these books, I'll end up doing quite a few earlier. But yeah, we will see. Right, let's get into the video. Very excitingly, I actually have physical copies of some of these books because for Christmas, I wrote this list back in December when I was away on holiday, and I didn't tell anyone what was on this list, and yet I got 2 of these books for Christmas. I literally was like, my heart, because that just shows how well my friends and family know me, that of all the books that I've not read, they picked 2 on this list. It's probably because they have heard me talk about them, but still, that shows they're paying attention. Very cute. Anyway, the first one of those was The Will of the Many. And the reason I wanted to read this is because my friend did love it so much and she raved about it. And then she bought it for me for Christmas because she was like, I think you're going to love this. And yeah, it's by James Islington. It's a fantasy novel, and I think the second one has just come out or is coming out very soon. So maybe I'll love it and end up reading the second one too. But it's basically about this, it's a high fantasy, and there's these, I can't remember what it's called, the Cantinean Republic, and they rule the world everywhere. And they've got these academies, and this one person comes into the academy, and I think that's our main character, and his job is to basically find out secrets within the academy and the Cantinean Republic and take them down. But this isn't quite as straightforward as it seems, because he has to then rise through the ranks and lie to them about who he is. He says he's an orphan. Yeah, it sounds very intriguing. I love a bit of dark academia. I like the fact it is set in a school. I think that's always a really nice way to start a series, a fantasy series especially. Some of my favourite novels are start in schools. Think of some examples. Fourth Wing set in a academy. So cool. I think this is very different from Fourth Wing. I've not read it, but I don't think they're similar. This isn't romantasy at all. Don't want to give anyone the wrong impression. But yeah, that's the first one on my list, The Will of the Many by James Islington. And I don't think I'm going to be waiting long to read this one. I want to read it now. Next up, we have a book that again has come to my list through recommendation, and it is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. And I've seen Robin Hobb a lot in the fantasy section of the bookstore, and I've always been tempted, but then there's so many books there, and I've just been I don't know. So I've just sort of, not leaned in that much. And then my friend's boyfriend was just you need to read her books. They're the best thing I've ever read. I've never read fantasy and loved it as much. And he literally was just saying she is the best author ever. The books are the best thing. And I was sold. That is all I know. That is literally all I know. The third book on my TBR for next year is The Last Argument of Kings by Jo Abercrombie. It is the third book in the First Law trilogy, and it's a political high fantasy, very similar, I think, to the first 2 that I've said that I want to read, sort of vibe-wise, and it's very character-driven. It's so good. Like the first 2 books I've really, really, really enjoyed. So I'm very excited to like see where it all comes to a head. The first 2 have been very political and almost like brewing. Like the first book really did feel like a starter book, like it was building up the characters, building up the world. And then the second book, everything started to like happen. And yeah, I just think the third book's going to be a bit more explosive, and we're going to find out, obviously we're going to find out what happens, but like I'm eager to know, and I'm eager to spend more time with these characters and find out where their story goes. I read in the wrong order. So there's like a spin-off series which is set in the future in the same world, and I actually read that first years ago, and some of the characters like overlap with that. So I'm excited to find out how we got from like X to Z or whatever. But I don't think that makes sense, but you know what I mean. I'm excited to see how those characters transition and change. Okay, I think the next book on my list is the last fantasy book on my list. It is The Ballad of Fallen Dragons by Sarah A. Parker. I read the first book in this series January 2025. I think it was on my 25 for 2025 list. So yeah, the second one is due to be released this year. It was due to be released at the end of last year and has been delayed until April this year. So I'm very excited for its release because it was probably up there in like my top 10 books of 2025, to be honest. It was so good. The world building was some of the best I've read in ages. I loved the concept. It felt so unique, and I feel like unique fantasy is so hard to find. And yeah, it was dragons. It was a lot of the stuff that is like popular and romantic at the moment, but it just took its own spin on it. Some of the magic just felt very different. I don't know, I just really loved it. So of course it had to be on my TBR for this year. Like I do find with living in Thailand as well that sometimes new titles, they'll be released a bit later, and then I just take longer to read them because I wait for them to come out in paperback or whatever, and then I don't know, I just feel like I used to, in London, if a book that I was like a book was being released that I really wanted to read, there'd be no doubt that I'd be there on release day buying it. Whereas I don't know if it's because of the slow pace of life here or whatever, I'm not always as great at like being like, oh, that's come out, I'll get it at some point, I'll read it at some point. And it's great to be more chill because you don't have to read books on release day. We don't have to have this like instant need to buy and read something. But I definitely want to read this book this year because I've been so excited for it. Book number 5. What is it? It is The Odyssey. Now, the reason this is on my TBR for this year is because Christopher Nolan, who is one of my favourite directors, that's probably a bit of a stretch. He is the director of one of my favourite films, which is Interstellar. He is directing a movie adaptation of The Odyssey, which is an ancient Greek classic by Homer. And I've always wanted to read The Odyssey and the Iliad, so this film coming out was quite good because it sort of put a deadline on that for me. I've already read the Iliad last year, and it was a very challenging but very fun experience. It did take me a few months. I really tried to like do my best to understand it, engage with it, enjoy it. So this year I've got until summer to read The Odyssey. I probably will start around April, maybe, because that's the Easter holidays. So I'll be off work, and I think my biggest problem with the Iliad was I only really, like, if I had been at work all day, I felt too tired to read it afterwards because I had to like focus, I wanted to sit down, annotate it. So it then became like a very much a weekend thing, and if we were away for a weekend, we had lots of plans, it just took longer than it needed to. And I actually read the first bit, or like the first third, really quickly in the summer holidays. So I think I'll start in Easter, and then I'm gonna read The Odyssey, and then I'm gonna watch it in summer, and it's gonna be a great time. I hope I enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the Iliad. I think it's a lot more, the Iliad is an epic battle novel about the Battle of Troy, and the Odyssey is about Odysseus' journey home from that battle to Ithaca, I want to say. I hope that's right. And he is like done over a long period though. It takes him a long time to get home, so it's not just yeah, I don't know. I'm now rambling. It's going to be a great time. The next book on my list has like, I've picked this book up so many times in the bookstore. I literally don't think I can go into a bookstore without picking this book up, and it is like £26 I think in the UK. I dread to think how much it costs in Thailand, so that probably means it's at least 30 something pounds. Not that much difference, but it could even be like £40. Who knows? Anyway, it's a lot of money for a book, which is fine. I'm sure it is worth every penny. But I'm then like, oh, not today. So I've put up my TBR because I'm like, you can't just keep picking up this book and wanting to read it. Life's for reading books. Let's read the book. And it is The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin is a music producer, and this book is basically his love letter to creativity and telling us all how we can incorporate creativity into our lives and our everyday, and also how to just be more creative and how to, you know, put, like, I don't think it's specifically about music or anything like that. It's about anything you do that has a creative element, how you can embrace that. Very similar, I think, to Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, which is one of my favourite books. It's actually, when we went travelling or left the UK for the first time 18 months ago now, it was one of the 2 books that I took with me. I literally only took Big Magic and Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert, both of them. So I'm really, really looking forward to this one. I don't think I've read anything that sort of captures creativity as well as that, so I'm hoping this is going to be the one. Oh, I've had to shuffle around because I'm getting such bad pins and needles today sitting here. Book number, I don't even know what number we're on. What number are we on? We're on number 7, and I completely lied. There is more fantasy on my list. In fact, there's 2 more fantasies on my list. It's going to be a year of fantasy. This is the thing with writing your TBR at one point. Like, I'm writing my whole yearly TBR. I always read lots of fantasy in October, November, December. And because I've been thinking about my TBR during that time, I wrote it in December. Obviously, there's loads of fantasy on my TBR now, but they're all books I want to read, so I'm going to keep it that way. It is a romantic novel. It's a second in a series, and it is Mate by Ellie Hazelwood. I know the jury is out on Bride, like, for a lot of people. Well, no, the jury's not out. We all just disagree. And a lot of people did not like Bride. I, however, loved it. I had the best time. I felt like a teenage girl again reading this book. It literally was just like adult Twilight. I literally loved Bride, and I'm so excited for Mate. It is just, I don't know, I can't even really remember what happened. I'm definitely gonna have to Google it. But I just remember how it made me feel. It just made me feel all giggly and like, vampires, werewolves, so much fun. Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to this one. It is already out, and I know you can get copies of it in Thailand, but this is what I mean. I've just not been in any rush to buy it. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to go out, purchase that one and read it. And I definitely want to read that this year because we all need a bit of like giggly vampire romance in our lives. The next book on my TBR is not a fantasy. It is a literary fiction novel by Suzanne Choi called Flashlight. You might have heard of it because it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize. This novel is set in Japan, and it follows our main character from around the age of 9-10, and she basically, her father goes missing, and we see how this impacts her life and her family. She is a Korean immigrant living in Japan. I think her dad was Korean and her mum was American. And you just see how all of this shapes her and where her life goes. It's set over several decades, and I just love a story that just follows someone throughout their entire, not even necessarily their entire life, but over so much of their life, because I feel, I just think it's so clever when an author can do that, when they can make you feel so much and pick out these defining moments in a character's life, but also put in enough mundane stuff that it feels real and not just like big, important life event. Book number 9 on my TBR is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I am very excited about this one because, much like Robin Hobb, Brandon Sanderson is one of these really adored authors in the fantasy genre that I have yet to read, and it is time. This is the year, 2026 is the year I'm just diving into these big authors that I've I wouldn't even say I've been scared to read, but I've sort of been like, there's a lot of books. If I start reading them, then there's so much to read. I'm like, who cares? Let's just read the damn books. They're adored for a reason. Hopefully I'm going to adore them just as much as everyone else does. I think this one, looking at it again, I think it's a trilogy, but is part of a larger collection of books. The Cosmere, I think they're called. Brandon Sanderson also just seems like a cool guy. When I've seen him on Instagram, I don't know much about him at all, but like I've seen him on Instagram doing interviews and stuff, and he just seems really, really cool. Oh, that caught my eye then. Over 10 million Mistborn books sold. Wow. I need to read this one. I'm very excited. I just feel like 2026 is going to be a fantasy year for me. I suppose it has to be, because look at my TBR. And also, starting Robin Hobb and starting Brandon Sanderson, like, that is a lot, isn't it? This is the girl who's not been trying, like, 2025 was the year of not starting new series and trying to finish them. Let me tell you, I didn't finish that many. I've still got loads on the go. And here I am, going to start 2 massive backlogs. I will. It's fun. It's a good time. Book number 10. We're in double digits already. Wow, that went so quick. Book number 10 is one I've already started because it's my buddy read with Georgia this month, and it is Tuesdays with Maury. This is a non-fiction novel. I think it's the only non-fiction novel on my TBR for 2026. That's the year we're going into. And it's basically about a man, Mitch Albom, the author, and he reunites with his college professor who has an illness. I can't remember what the illness is, but it's terminal. Does it say on here? I don't want to say it wrong. I think it's ALS, but I can't remember what it stands for. And it's basically a horrible illness, and he just goes to him and has conversations with him once a week, every Tuesday, and Maury shares his thoughts on life. He's a sociology professor, I think. Yeah, he is a sociology professor. I don't think that I know that. And he shares his thoughts on life. And it's sort of the things he thinks as someone who is dying. It's very profound. I'm very near the end of it, so I'm trying to tell you what it's about. I'm doing a TBR video, but I'm near the end of the book, so I'm trying not to give reviews. I'm trying to tell you what I would have told you before I started reading it 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, because I literally started this 1st of January, I think. Yeah, it's really good so far. I've loved it. It's very profound, and I think it could be a 5-star. I don't actually share ratings for non-fiction books that are like in the self-help genre, which this one would fall into. So it's just very interesting to hear the perspective of someone who's older, but also someone who is now coming to the end of their life. And that is what this book aims to do, because so rarely do we hear that like view of things, and it's just about what actually matters. And I think it's just a very grounding book, and some of it, like, you do like, you're like, yeah, of course, I guess that's obvious that like family really matters, but it's interesting just the way it's worded and the way it's so heartfelt, and it just puts a lot of things into perspective. Gonna be the first one I finish on my 26 TBR. Book number 11. Look at this beautiful edition. It is 1984 by George Orwell. I'm going to continue trying to read classics this year. Obviously, I've got the Odyssey on my list, and there is this one, which is a dystopian fantasy. I don't know if it is really fantasy. Dystopian novel. It's so referenced in like popular culture. I kind of can't believe I've never read it. The George Orwell stuff I have read as well has been very digestible. So I'm very, very excited to read this one. My boyfriend bought me this one for Christmas because I think he knows that I've been wanting to read it. It's one I've picked up a few times in the bookstore. I will buy a different copy to annotate because this one's so pretty, but I just want to keep it because it's so nice. I collect these editions. Yeah. Oh, this is just making me want to sit and read all day. I'm so excited to read all of these books. Okay, the 12th book on my TBR is Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I chose this book because I really want to read more of his works. I read Never Let Me Go last year, maybe even 2024. I think it was 2024, end of 2024. And I really enjoyed it. It had this really good, it's a dystopian novel, but it's reading like a normal literary fiction novel, and then you're like a bit like, oh, what's going on? I didn't know it had like this dystopian element to it when I picked it up. I went in quite blind, and yeah, it just was really subtle, really clever about like what it means to be human, the human experience. And I've heard the same about Clara and the Sun. So obviously I'm going in a bit less blind this time. I know there is this like element, like existential element to it, and yeah, we'll just have to, I don't know much more beyond that. I think Clara is like artificial intelligence, and yeah, I don't know, I love making these videos and I love sharing with you what I'm going to read and how excited I am to read them, but sometimes I'm like, I don't want to know more than what I already know, because it's the surprise that makes reading so joyful. And I hope this one is still useful and still gives you some good ideas of what you would like to read this year. Have you got a book on your TBR that's the same, or have you got one that you think needs to be added as number 13? Maybe I just need to keep growing my TBR. I'm always looking for more recommendations. As you can even tell by this video, like so many of these books are here on my like must read this year because of recommendations. There is no greater reason to read a book, in my opinion, because also then you get to share it with the person who recommended it to you, which is so fun. I've now gone on a massive tangent. I don't really know why. Thank you so much if you're still watching. Have a lovely day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.